So GRAM is being a national center for music creation. Obviously, GRAM has to keep all the works, the musical works produced to keep them, so to speak, so that we can perform them again and again. We do that with traditional technology, so to speak. It is to keep all the recordings, to keep the scores, paper scores, etc. But as explained just before, the fact to keep the scores, the recording, is not enough for some music pieces that are interactive, real-time, and if you don't have the software, then you can't perform the piece anymore. So we need to be able to keep the software. So FAUST was a project existing before we started the ASTRE project. But because FAUST had already this ability, had a well-defined formal semantics, then we were able to use FAUST for the ASTRE project. So we just had to build the tool to extract all the semantics of a FAUST program to keep it. And we did some interesting tests, which were, let's take a FAUST program, compute the documentation, and give it back to someone that doesn't know FAUST. Is that person have all the information, really all the information, to implement with a different programming language exactly the same thing? So we did that, and we did some tests, and the results were very positive. But we discovered, for example, that we were missing some more information, is to validate, so to speak, how the guy who is doing the re-implementation using the mathematical description, how is it going to make sure that it has done a good re-implementation? So this is something we need to add. It would be the possibility to create a reference test, so to speak, so that you can check that the re-implementation you did is the correct one. This is the relation between, it's a need for us, GRAM, to keep works. There were no solution to keep works heavily relying on softwares. And so we had FAUST, and we started this project with, I must mention that IRCAM was involved in this project, École des Mines de Paris also, and the University of Saint-Étienne, close to Lyon, were also involved in that project.
Okay, and so it's a policy for free and share. It's original for the project. I mean, some develop the software or something, it needs funding, and now not every project is original set to share and for free. I know the first and actually the project, the policy is free and share. So would you like to mention about it?
Yes. Well, I think it's related to the question of preservation. Obviously, if you preserve a software in Max, and the company that do Max just decide to change the format or stop developing Max, or what are you going to do? You have no way, you don't have access to the sources of Max, so you have no way to make it evolve or solve problem by yourself. So even for the question of preservation, I think that you have more chances to preserve some work that relies on free open source software than on closed commercial software. even if this commercial software like Max are excellent software, obviously it's not the point. But the point is that you have less chance to preserve things if you depend on closed format or closed software. So even for that reason of preservation, we need to push free and open source software in the arts. And having said that, obviously FAUST itself is free and open source, and all the system to generate the documentation is free and open source.